Big shout out to our production team for those map intros, man. They look good.
They are awesome.
What's your favorite, by the way?
My favorite one?
Yeah.
I really like the Ankylon Flats one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We haven't gotten to that yet. Can't wait till we debut it, guys. We've got some players to introduce. In the bottom left-hand corner of the map, he is hailing from Team Quantic. A lot of people favored him at the start. It switched at the end, and now he's down 0-1. Give it up for HyuN. And his opponent in the top right-hand corner, currently teamless, but winning this set 1-0. He is Polt.
All right, so we're ready to go here for game number 2 now, and we are on Daybreak. As always, for our last couple of events, we've allowed you guys to be very interactive and vote on this, so you can actually tell us who you think is going to win this matchup directly by voting on your IPL iOS app or through IGN.com/IPL. There are voting mechanisms on in both places, so let us know, and we'll keep a running total and update you guys on what the community thinks is going to happen over the course of this series. But for now, we are on Daybreak. Polt not going for the command center first like he did last time, a little bit more familiar. Barracks first. Now Polt, the kind of guy who will all of a sudden throw in something weird like a gas right after his barracks. But looks like he's going to bypass it this time and opt for a little more traditional gasless fast expand.
Yeah, very unlikely that he's going to go for any aggression here. It is always possible, you know, in scenarios when a player doesn't go for gas, the rule is they're going to have too many minerals. You know, they've got all these SCVs mining in only one barrack, so most of the time we see players go for a quick command center, and that's exactly what Polt is going to do here. The only real alternative to that is that you make like 5 or 6 barracks and nothing but Marines, but any good Zerg player will hold that off, and so we don't really see players go for that anymore. Now just the command center is so common, and HyuN's not going to be able to do too much versus this, though he has gone, Kevin, for a really quick gas here, so he's going to have a nicely timed speed.
I was about to say, this is a throwback build. There was a time when players, Terran players were forced to adapt with Zerg players going for speedling, not all-ins, but like 18 speedlings or something like that towards the beginning of games that were designed to get in and disrupt construction, whether it be on a third base or get in and do huge economic damage at the natural.
Yeah.
In any case, Terran players, as you remember, started to build bunkers like in here to be able to defend places, maybe tucked up next to the mineral line, just to be able to prevent that. That style fell out of favor when people started going for queens a little bit more and started moving into a little bit more creep spread oriented play and longer macro style. But we may actually see that out of HyuN here, and I would love to see it actually.
Yeah, and this is one of the really strong maps for that creep spread style though, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a third queen started up here after the first 2 do finish, or as HyuN moves into, you know, the third base in the later stages of the game. But there it is, the third queen. Okay, so you really want to focus on creep spread on Daybreak, because if you look at the expansions, you've got the main, the natural, and the third. All of them are in a line. They go down the right-hand side of the map. And so what HyuN is able to do in this situation, because Polt doesn't actually expand forwards, is you spread the creep really excessively, get it all the way up to in front of their bases on their side of the map, and it lets you hold a really good contain on a Terran. We've seen players like Jaedong, for instance, capitalize on this, where you can actually use Banelings offensively versus Marines with Stim. I mean, how can you do that? Well, creep spread is the answer, and Daybreak's a great map for it. And
Jaedong's the player who loves doing that as well. So we're actually seeing the same build out of Polt as we saw last time. Now, of course, we did have, I want to point out 2-base layer real quick here from HyuN. He's actually rushing layer, which is awesome.
Fast. Yeah.
So we're going to see what that develops into, if it's going to be 2-base Muta, if we're going to see Infestor play into an expand build.
3 gases.
Yeah, as we see gas 2, 3, and 4 come down. But Polt, going after what we saw last time before he was actually interrupted by a bunch of, of roaches. So let's see if it's going to be the same bio-focused play with double tank production, or if he has something a little bit different up his sleeve.
So I think Polt is actually going for a Blue Flame Hellion play here. And this is really interesting because, all right, so HyuN went for this. It looks like HyuN is going for 2-base Spire. I'm really anxious to see. Actually, how many refineries does he have? He does have 2, so it's possible he could go for Siege Tech here. 3 Hellions.
And we're going to see Blue Flame in a second, I would imagine, yeah.
Here's the thing. HyuN went for this build because very commonly we see from Terran players on this map, Hellion Banshee. Hellion Banshee is so good on Daybreak if Zergs don't take a fast third, because you can actually just deny it with the Banshee incredibly well, and the Hellions maintain great map control, but actually going to be 2-base Infestor. 2-base Muta actually would have worked great versus Polt's build, even though he didn't go for that Hellion Banshee, but Infestor, that's It's going to be crazy.
2-base Infestor rushing burrows. So we're actually going to have...
It's much more of a coin flip.
Somewhere, Root Cat's is smiling. Because this one's a go-to strategy for him for a long time. But HyuN, of course, with flawless execution, will be able to do some very surprising damage here. He's going to have to defend against a lot of Blue Flame Hellions, though. And will he have the ground forces to deal with that? I'm not sure. We'll have to find out in a second.
These Hellions are getting in a lot of damage. No transfuse available, so Queen number 1 will go down. Every Queen is very important to HyuN at this point because he needs them versus those Blue Flames.
That was really cool play, though. HyuN actually snuck up his Zerglings, quickly surrounded one Hellion and pulled away before the second shot was done. So very good control. Very spur-of-the-moment thinking there from HyuN.
That's what these players are known for. Hellions coming in right now. We'll check that third base, see that it's nearly completed. And Polt is just going to be meandering around the outside as that Blue Flame is getting ready to complete here. And here is the Hellion train moving across the map. HyuN, this is a very invested build, guys. HyuN could take a ton of damage from this, but if he does not, he could very well win this game for being too far ahead.
Okay, well here comes Polt right now. There's already a few evolution chambers to try and block this off, and it is a full wall for the time being, and that's a very effective way to be able to hold off and delay Hellions for a little while, but here come the rest, and with Blue Flame, they'll be able to tear through these Zerglings. Infestors are about to pop, though, and it looks like these Hellions were delayed long enough that they didn't do any economic damage before the Infestors popped up.
HyuN handled that beautifully. Fungal growth traps every single Hellion, and Polt is going to lose all of his very valuable, very important units here in the early stages of the game. HyuN does not lose, guys, a single drone. In fact, the only drone he lost was the one on the Evo Chamber, and that leaves him with 2, which is the exact number of Evo Chambers that you want to have, guys, because you only upgrade really 2 things at a time.
This is very ambitious out of Polt, too. He's been banking a little bit of resources, starting to expend those now with the very expensive Thors, but he's moving into pure mech, and he's only on 2 command centers at the moment, and 5 factory, 2 command center, or 2 base build, very difficult to get a lot done initially. With that sort of mech strategy. So I've got to think that we're going to see another command center here in the relative near future. If not, this is going to be almost like a 2-base mech all in.
Yeah, this is going to be extremely invested out of Polt once again. He's kind of following up an all-in with an all-in because, as you said, he doesn't have that 3rd command center. And he's not doing any upgrades either.
HyuN's making 28 lings behind this, so he's actually going to get in there with Burrowed Infestors, try and drop down as many Infested Terrans as possible, and follow this up with huge amount of economic damage. And Polt, draws out the Fungal Growth, only hits 2 units, and he's going to kill an Infestor, but he does delay for quite a while.
A nice small victory, though. There's a lot of lings back at home right now, and they're actually going to get surrounding the store, getting a lot of damage.
Wow.
And, I don't know if they'll kill it. The Hellions do arrive, and so it will survive, but, I mean... In repairs, it's half the cost of repairs of an actual unit. So HyuN essentially just, he did enough. He killed half a Thor there.
Okay, and you see he's actually queued up a lot of units here, a lot of Infestors sitting on the outside, and we'll see if he can get in there and do damage. Polt, though, with the missile turret sitting up at the top, is going to be really well defended against these Burrowed Infestors.
Here's the thing, I don't know if HyuN with just Infestor Ling is going to be able to stop, they call this the Karn build, Blue Flame Hellion Thor. It's something that French player Karn popularized a long time ago. Infested Terrans go down. HyuN's actually going to get aggressive with this. He surrounds the Thor with the Infested Terrans, and he unburrows all the Infestors. That does put them in danger, though.
That's right, and those Infestors are very, very valuable at this stage, so killing a couple of Thors is really nice, but he gave away just as much in terms of resources with those Infestors.
He got aggressive versus, what we were pretty accurately calling an all-in build here out of Polt. And I wonder if he lost too much. Oh, God, HyuN is actually transitioning from here into Roaches, and Roaches have a really hard time versus lots of Thor. Notably, however, HyuN did kill most of the Thor, so this may work. Most of the time, you want to go Banelings versus this build, just like so many Banelings, and then you just win because you have more bases, you have more economy after you kill their army.
Okay.
But he's going Roaches, and there's not that many Thor left.
No, and the Roach Horn's not even close to being done yet, so Roaches aren't going to be a threat for a while. So this is going to be held off with Pure Infestor, which means all their energy is going to be gone by the time the Roaches pop up. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. But even if he does, the Infestor energy is going to be gone, and he needs to be able to hold those units in place and surround and hug in with those Roaches. All
right, well, it's a big counterattack right now to HyuN, but remember, Polt can just lift his command center and run his SCVs and get away. Nice Fungal, though, on those Hellions. Will slow the attack, but now Polt is pushing in. The Infestors are going to throw their payload onto the high ground.
Oh, and that Thor's going to die immediately, but this counterattack is coming quick, and HyuN does not have another fungal growth left there, and he's not done that much damage to these units, especially with that many SCVs pulled. So these Infested Terrans are going to try and do whatever they can. They're actually going to do quite a bit. This is a little bit of an interesting scenario. This is going to be a hatchery killed, no question, with a ton of workers gone down, but a couple of factories could very well die here to these Infested Terrans. They just got to focus a couple of them down.
I don't know that 22 Roach is going to be able to kill this. There's a lot. There's 10 SCVs here repairing constantly. There are enough resources to repair these Thor many times over. The Infestors get caught in the choke on their way through the through the Roach Warren and the Evo Chamber, and HyuN just took some serious damage, guys.
Yeah, yes he did, and these roaches, you were talking about the large quantity of Thors and what they can do to a group of roaches, but you just saw it there. Single target DPS very high on those Thors. Roach Warren goes down, another 8 were queued up throughout the entire process. A few workers did end up dying from Polt, but man, he is threatening to just win this game outright right here with this push.
Yeah, he is. Drones pulled off the line, a lot of them taken out by the Blue Flames, not able to target fire because his roaches can't get close enough. HyuN down to 80 supply, Polt still at 100. I don't know if he can kill these Thor. One Thor goes down, Infested Terrans helping as well. It's so close, but I don't think HyuN has enough.
No, it looks like he's going to be able to get the 3rd Thor, but not the 4th one, and the Blue Flame Hellions are still around, and while they don't deal that much damage to roaches, it's still splash damage, and it still adds up over time, so these roaches will all die.
All right, well, HyuN's going to send his Infestors back in. There's 2 Thor guarding the natural expansion, though, and HyuN is just like out of options at this point, guys. He's got a nice group of Lings at the top. Let's look at the worker supplies, 22 to 30. It's pretty close to call. These Infestors will have to be incredibly cost efficient for HyuN to take this game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So let's see, the Infested Terrans are already dropping down. He killed one of the factories before, but that's not going to be enough. The Lings do end up swinging through. A few of the Hellions have died, but you see how quickly they deal with Lings. It's absurd.
It's too much. HyuN just lost his whole army that he had saved up in order to try to take this game. He wanted to save this natural expansion so he could recover more quickly, but the Infested Terrans will force the lift off, but it's just not enough here for HyuN, I feel. As Polt, he has this army that will not be killed now in the natural.
Those Infested Terrans did all die. Yeah, we're down to just a few workers left, although this is kind of a crazy situation for this game to end up this way, but now these drones are totally unprotected. Oh, an attempt at a surround there, and a few Hellions do die, but it's not going to be enough. The Zerglings are all killed.
Yeah, it looks like Polt may set himself up 2-0 here, initially not being the favored player, but really coming out firing here in game number 1, guys. Getting into the mineral line, killing off the last few drones of Quantic HyuN.
That's right, and it would be very funny if Terrans had revenge here at this end of Wings of Liberty, especially with the all-CBC GSL finals tonight. Really? Lair is going to die. Looks like the last hatchery is going to go down as well. It's just a matter of time. Looks like we're going to have one more attempt at this from HyuN, who actually has done quite a bit of damage with 2 Zerglings, which is amusing to me. But yeah, those Hellions do escape. Wasn't enough there for a complete surround. And looks like that's going to be it for HyuN.
Yeah, there's just no way to kill these Thor. Polt, he's got 4 of them left, I believe. Yeah, 4 in fact. And they will not die to Infested Terrans. They'll simply run away forever until they have to be fungled. And at that time, HyuN has to regen so much energy. I think those Infestors will have been killed off by that point. But hey, Infestors are the game that bring back units, and this is bring back games. All 3. Those were so important to HyuN, actually.
Yeah, unless they all die.
Yeah.
Well, 19 supply and falling now. We don't like to call games before they're officially done, but ladies and gentlemen, I think we can count this one as a 2-0 for Polt at the moment. Of course, this is a very long best of 11, as a matter of fact. So I could certainly see HyuN wanting to try and tire out Polt for a little while here. It's one of those games you're like, okay, I've had this one for so long, please just leave. And then it becomes a not very satisfying victory. There's finally GG. Polt wins game number 2. He's up 2-0 in this best of 11.
Incredibly well played out of Polt there. Being able to make that push, even though, the transition was to roaches, making that work, even though he had all those Thor loss. And that, I really think, was a testament to his ability to play there. HyuN getting all those Infestors caught in between the Roach Warren and the Evo Chamber was a disaster.
Yeah, we want to give a couple of shout-outs while we're here as well. All those of you out there who are enjoying StarCraft 2, the developer of the game, Blizzard, is actually here at this event. They're actually recruiting and hiring, so if you want to apply for a job over at Blizzard, they're on the far wall over there. Certainly go over and check them out. Also, we do want to give a big shout-out to LandFest by Intel. They're raising funds right now to support the Dell Children's Medical Center in Central Texas. So they're actually on the back corner. So whenever the show match is done, head over there, play some games, get your game on, and support a cool charity event.
Yeah, it's like a free LAN center, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. So, all right, guys, well, we're going to run to a commercial break, and when we get back, it'll be time for game number 3. We'll see if HyuN can start to mount a little bit of a comeback, or if Polt is going to pull this to a 3-0 advantage. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.